Magic Treehouse, book number 27, Thanksgiving on Thursday, by Mary Pope Osborne. Chapter 1. What feast? Come on, said Annie. She stood in the doorway to Jack's bedroom. Let's check the woods. But it's Thursday, said Jack. We're going to grandmother's soon. I know, said Annie, but I have a feeling the treehouse might be back. I think Morgan might have sent us a new rhyme. Jack trusted Annie's feeling. Okay, but we'll have to be quick, he said. He threw his notebook and pencil into his backpack. He followed her downstairs. Be back soon, Jack called to their parents. Very soon, their dad said. Don't forget, it's Thursday, said their mom. We're leaving for grandmother's at 9. I know, said Jack. We'll be back in 10 minutes, said Annie. They hurried out of their house. They ran across their yard and up their streets and into the Frog Creek woods. Jack and Annie ran through lights and shadows until they stopped under the tallest oak. Yay, said Annie. You're right, said Jack. High in the tree was the magic tree house. Jack grabbed the rope ladder and started up. Annie was right behind him. They climbed into the treehouse. Sunlight slanted in through the window. Good, our gifts from our last trips are still here, said Annie. She pointed to the scroll from Shakespeare's theater and the twigs from the gorillas. Proof we found the magic of the theater and the magic of animals, said Jack. Look, said Annie. She pointed to the book lying in the dark corner. A piece of paper was sticking out of it. Jack pulled out the paper. It's from Morgan's, he said. He read, Dear Jack and Annie, good luck on your third journey to find the special magic. This rhyme will guide you. To find the special magic, when work or toil or down, gather all together, turn 3 words into 1. Thank you, Morgan. So, who do we gather with? Wondered Jack. Annie held up the book. The painting on the cover shows the basket of the corns on the wooden table. The title said, A Feast to Remember. We'll gather at the feast, she said. She pointed to the cover. I wish we could go there. Hold on, said Jack. What kind of feast? Where is when? But the winds had started to blow. The treehouse started to spin. It spun faster and faster. Then everything was still. Absolutely still. Chapter 2. Shh. Jack opened his eyes. Bright golden sunlight poured into the treehouse. The air felt crisp and cool. Annie was wearing a long dress, a white cap, and an apron. Jack wore a jacket with a fairy collar. He wore shirt pants, long socks, leather shoes, and a hat. His backpack was now the leather bag. I like your hat, said Annie. It's funny. Yours too, said Jack. You look like a pilgrim, said Annie. So do you, said Jack. Oh man, I bet we're in the time of the pilgrims. He and Annie scrambled into the window. The treehouse had landed in the tall oak near the edge of the forest. Red and yellow leaves rattled in the cold breeze. Past the forest was the small village, and past the village was the ocean. It looked like where the pilgrims live, said Jack. We studied it in school. He opened the research book and found a picture of the village by the sea. He read aloud. In 1620, a group of 102 passengers sailed from England to America on the ship called the Mayflower. Many people on board wanted freedoms of religions. They wanted to worship gods in their own way, not the way the King of England made them. Others wanted to find new life in the new land. Today, we call all the people who sailed on the Mayflowers pilgrims. Yes, said Annie. Jack read on. The pilgrims wanted to settle near New York. but the storm blew their ships north. They landed in the bay on the coast of what is now Massachusetts. 6 years later, Captain John Smith had explored the coast. He had named the bay Plymouth. Plymouth, said Annie. That's where the first Thanksgiving was. Oh man, Jack smiled. So that's the feast. Wow, said Annie. My class put on a play about the first Thanksgiving. Mine too, said Jack. I play Priscilla, said Annie. I played a turkey, said Jack. Now we've got to meet a real Priscilla, said Annie, and Squito, and Governors Bradford's and Mel Sandish. Come on, she started down the ladder. Wait, what will he say? Asked Jack. We'll just tell them hi and stuff, said Annie. Are you nuts? Said Jack. He put the bags into his bag. They won't understand who we are. We need a plan. He slung the bag over his shoulders and hurried down the ladder after Annie. Listen, we need, Jack started. I know, a plan, said Annie. But first, let's get closer to the village and just watch. Okay, said Jack, but we can't let anyone see us. We have to be careful and quiet. He and Annie started walking carefully through the woods, but they did not talk quietly. The autumn's leaves crunched and crackled under their leather shoes. Shh, said Jack. I can't help it, said Annie. You're doing it too. Then we have to stop, said Jack. Let's get behind a tree and watch from there. They crouched over to the trees at the edge of the woods. In the distance was a row of small log houses with a steep thatched roof. Jack pulled out the book. He found a part about the village. Then he pushed his glasses up and read to himself. The pilgrims bought chickens, geese, goats, and sheep from England. They brought seeds and plants, seed to plants, and they knew how to make traps and to catch wild animals for food. But they could not have survived without the help of the Wampanoag Indian named Squinto. Squinto taught them how to grow corn. Hi, you, Annie whispered. Jack looked up. Annie was talking to a shiny yellow dog. The dog was sniffing to a tree near them. Don't let her see us, Jack whispered. Why? Said Annie. The dog looked at them and barked. That's why, said Jack. The skinny dog barked again and again. Two pilgrims men ran from the other side of the houses. Then more pilgrims appeared. They all looked in the direction of the barking dog. Oh no, said Jack. Let's go back. We don't have a plan yet. He packed up his books and started away from the trees. Suddenly, something tightened around his ankle. Then a tree branch snapped. Ah! Jack shouted as he was jerked up into the air. Chapter 3. Wow! Jack, cried Annie. The skinny dogs barked and jumped around happily. Jack was hanging a few feet off the ground with a rope around his ankle. His glasses and bag had fallen to the ground. Jack felt the blood rushing to his head. I must have stepped into the hunting trap, he said in a strangled voice. I'll free you, said Annie. Annie said. She tried to reach the rope, but it was too high. Jack heard a voice over the wild barking of the dog. A blur of people gathered around him and Annie. Oh, mercy, a woman cried. We have caught a boy, a man said. The dog licked Jack's face. Help, said Jack. A very man shooed the dogs away, then grabbed Jack. Another cut the rope with a knife. Then they gently lowered Jack to the ground. Jack sat in the leaf, feeling dizzy. He took a rope off his foot and rubbed his ankle. "Here," said Annie, handing Jack his glasses, hats, and bag. He put them all on and stood up. Now he could see. About 40 or 50 pilgrims, men, women, and lots of children stared at him and Annie. Some of the children were laughing. The girl was dressed just like a woman. The boys were dressed just like a man. One person, though, looked different from everyone else in the crowd. His skin was brown. The deer skin hung over his shoulders. His black hair was braided and has a feather in it. "Is that Squinto?" Jack wondered. "The Wampanoag Indian who helped out the pilgrims?" The pilgrim man stepped forward. One had a smile on his face. The other was frowning. "Good day," the friendly-looking man said. "Who are you?" "I'm Annie," said Annie. "This is my brother Jack. We come in peace." "Well, welcome to Plymouth, Saxony," said the man. "I am Governor Bradford. This is Captain Standish." Captain Standish kept frowning. He carried a long gun over his shoulder. "Oh, wow," said Annie. "Wow," said Captain Standish. "Wow," whispered others as if they didn't understand. "I just heard a lot about you," said Annie. She looked around. "Is Priscilla here?" "Shh," whispered Jack. "I'm Priscilla," said the young woman. She looked about 17 or 18. Her face looked worldly, and her eyes were sad. "Hi," said Annie shyly. I was you." "Annie," warned Jack. "So was me?" Priscilla asked. She sounded puzzled. "Never mind, my sister," said Jack. "She's nuts." "Nuts?" repeated Priscilla. "Nuts?" whispered others. "Oh, brother," said Jack with a nervous laugh. "Oh, brother?" repeated Priscilla. Annie giggled. Never mind," said Jack. "That's just how we say things at home." "And where is the home?" Captain Standish asked. He didn't sound as friendly as Governor Bradford or Priscilla. "We live in a village up north," said Jack. "Our parents sent us here to, he remembers something from the research book, to learn how to grow corn." "But how and when did your family come to America?" said the captain asked. Jack was worried. Now that he had started making up the story, he couldn't back out. Luckily, he remembered something else from their book. "We sailed to America with Captain John Smith," he said, "when he was exploring the coast. Annie and I were babies then." "Ah, indeed?" said Governor Bradford. Jack nodded. "Indeed," he said. "I believe Squinto knew Captain John Smith when he was in Plymouth." The captain said Captain Standish. "Perhaps he remembered the." Everyone in the crowd turned to the man with the braid. "Oh no," thought Jack. He knew Squinto wouldn't remember then. "These children says they sailed with Captain John Smith," Governor Bradford said to Squinto. "Does you remember two baby named Jack and Danny?" Squinto moved closer to Jack and Danny. He looked carefully at their face. Jack held his breath. His heart pounded. Squinto turned to look Governor. "Yes," said quietly. "I remember. I saw and his man to our harvest feast, but we did not expect so many. We had not prepared enough food." Governor Bradford and Squinto spoke to the chief. Then Squinto led them number of men into the woods, and the governor walked back to the pilgrim. "Ah, good," said Priscilla. "Then I'll bet 3 brings back as many eels and clams as thou can. We have near 150 mouths to feed." Priscilla took the basket from the small girls and gave it to Annie. "We will see thee later," Priscilla said, waving. Mary and I must go help with the cooking," said Jack. But before he could ask any questions, Priscilla and the little girls started back to the village. Chapter 5. Eels and Clams. Jack looked at Annie. "We can't stay here," he said. "What?" she said. "We can't go home now. The pilgrims need us to help them." "But we don't know how to do anything," Jack said. "And Squinto is going to figure out he doesn't really know us. And don't worry so much," said Annie. "We help Mom and Dad make our Thanksgiving dinners every year, don't we? We can help the pilgrims, but we better hurry." Clutching the big basket, she started running toward the bay. Jack sighed, then ran after her. At the rocky shore, they stopped and looked around. Little waves rolled onto the short stretch of sand. The salty air felt clean and fresh. Seagulls swooped over the water. "I wonder where the eels are," said Annie. "And the clams?" "I'll look in the book," said Jack. He pulled out the books and looked up eels in the index. He turned to the right page and read aloud. "Squinto shows the pilgrims 2 ways to catch eels. He showed them how to push the eels out of the wet sand with their bare feet, then grab them with their hands." "That sounds fun," said Annie. She put down her basket and pulled off her shoes and stockings. She held up her long skirts with one hand. Then she walked over the rock to the edge of the water. Jack put the research book into his bag. He pulled off his shoes and stockings and joined Annie. They dug their bare feet into the wet sand. "I don't feel anything," said Jack. "Let's wade into the water," said Annie. Together they stepped forward. "Brrr," said Annie. "No kidding," said Jack with a shiver. He kept squishing the muddy sand with his toes. He felt paddles and shells. Then he felt something soft. "Hey, I think I found one," he said. Annie splashed over him. "Where?" "Stand back," he said. "Here." Jack squished harder with his feet. The softening things moved. Jack swished more. An eel slattered through the water. Jack grabbed it with both hands. "Ah!" he yelled. The eel was long and skinny like a snake. It felt slime and icky. It twisted and squirmed, and it laughed as Jack tried to hold onto it. The eagle wiggled out of Jack's hands and fell against Annie. "Yikes!" she said, jumping away and bumping into Jack. With more screams, they both tumbled into the cold water. They scrambled up the splash back to shore. Annie was still laughing. "Poor eel," she said, trying to catch her breath. "We scared him half to death." "Him?" said Jack. Forget eel," said Annie. Her teeth chattering. "What about clams?" Jack was wet and cold, but he took out the books again and looked up clams. He turned to a right page and read aloud. Squinto taught the pilgrims how to dig the quahog clams. Quahog's clams are hard-shell clams. They can live for 60 years or more. The oldest have been known to live for almost 100 years. Forget it," Annie broke in. "What?" said Jack. "We can't catch them," she said. "They live to be so old. We can't just end their lives." Jack sighed. He sat down on the rock. Annie sat next to him. Their clothes were soaking wet. Their feet were caked with muddy hands. Their baskets were empty. "What other things do pilgrims' kids do to help?" Annie said. Jack opened the books again. He looked up Pilgrim's Children. He read aloud. Pilgrim's children worked very hard. They built a fence and cared for animals. They planted, harvested, and ground corn. They picked pumpkins, peas, and beans. They guarded the field. They fished and hunted. They carried water. They collected nuts. They cooked and cleaned. They did everything they were told. They never complained about being tired. Oh man, I feel tired just reading this, said Jack, closing the book. We make lousy pilgrims, children. Yeah, I know, said Annie. Maybe we could do something like keep an eye on the turkey and tell them when it's ready. That's how I help moms every year. Honey, Thanksgiving in Frog Creek is a whole different story from Thanksgiving with a pilgrim, said Jack. Honey, Jack, the voice called. Jack quickly put away their book. Then they turned around. Priscilla was standing on the rock. She held the pumpkin and carried the basket filled with yellow squash and red corn. I was looking for you, she said.